So welcome to the Kislevic Wastes. Very cold and harsh wilderness, full of, well, coldness and snow and bears and
How may I serve you?
essentially starvation and all those wonderful things which makes Kislev a wonderful place for a winter vacation. Now, unfortunately for chaos, Kislev is also a very attuned to
Orders, my
this
lord.
coldness, very attuned to this very dangerous wasteland. So therefore, Kislev knows how to fight. Now, I wish that there was some way to um, show the dangers of the chaos. I mean, of the Kislevic wastes in this mod. Unfortunately, there is not. But I hope that if Kislev is made a full-fledged faction in Total War Warhammer, then there will be some form of something that if you're in Kislev, that you take attrition. Just because it's always cold. Basically, it's always cold. Um, Something like that. Maybe not just attrition,
An honor to
but
serve, my lord.
you know. So your main armies will be made up out of mainly corsairs. Uh, they are one of the most um, what's the word? I don't know the word. One of the most dang it. They're a very flexible unit, second to the Lothern Sea Guard, because the Lothern Sea Guard is obviously they fire and they have good ranged attacks, but then they're also really good in melee. These guys, they're really good with in ranged. They also have spikes, so they can be anti-cav as well, and they have these two-handed axes, which actually give them a good fighting chance in melee against like goblins, against Skaven slaves, even if if a unit of marauders get into them, as long as the Corsairs have been firing on those marauders and kind of weaken the unit, Corsairs have a chance of defeating a unit of marauders. So they're a really good unit, and your main army will be made. Well, your main unit in your army will be these guys. Another staple in the Kislev army will be the Kislev Spearmen
An
and
honor to serve,
the
my lord.
where are they? There has to be a
Yes.
unit somewhere around here. All right. Well, the Kislev Spearmen and the Kislev Halberdiers. Um, they will also be another very staple unit. There do not expect them to be able to stay in melee because they kind of still suck. But they can't. But they're not there to win a melee engagement. They are there to hold the line for just long enough so that your super fast winged lancers can get in behind and kill the enemy. That's basically what the halberdiers and the spearmen do. Obviously, you also have your pick of dwarves. Your mounted militia, they're also another needed unit. They're very good at taking out, say, there's the general unit, usually a heavily armored unit. If it's an infantry unit, if you keep your mounted militia targeting their general, they may not be able to kill the unit, but they will weaken the unit very fast. Ungles will also be a staple unit in your Kislevit army. Uh, very much needed. Something I also forgot to mention is with the mounted militia, once they're out of ammo, they actually get a spear, a kind of a short lance when charging, so they do get a sort of a charge bonus. I'm not entirely sure about the Ungles. They may have it as well. They do have a charge bonus of 4, which is actually pretty good. Obviously, the Winged Lancers have a charge bonus of 10. But yes, the Winged Lancers are a very important unit for you to have, as they are one of the best charging, one of the best shock units in this game. They are not going to do well in prolonged combat, but they are excellent when charging the backs of enemies as they are fighting your front line of halberdiers, spearmen, or even corsairs. A unit that's also really great to have one or two of these guys, Kreml Guard. They are one of the, well, they're Kislev's only heavily armored unit besides the dwarves, but the dwarves, they're dwarves. The Kreml Guard can go toe-to-toe with Beastigors. They can even go toe-to-toe with Chaos Warriors, Chaos Chosen Warriors. They can even take on Minotaurs. These guys, they're the only ones who can survive in prolonged combat, but because they're so expensive, you can't really make up a army of them unless you have a lot of money. Another unit you have are your Bear Cav for your generals.
Honor to serve.
Oh wait, not this guy. Let's take him out.
In order.
Tsar Boris, the Tsar Guard. These guys, they ride bears and they have giant claymores. While they are good with the charge, they are excellent in prolonged combat. They can take out enemies left and right. They are amazing. Very good against enemy generals, and even good when charging into the backs of enemies. They are, however, very slow. Now, when you are in the campaign, the first thing that you're gonna want to do is take as many rebel settlements as consolidate rebel settlements around you. You're usually going to have a mission that will tell you to take Torsk, which, even if it doesn't give you one, I suggest taking Torsk. Yes, take it, do it. Also take Vinskor fairly fast, and always take Helpit. Other places that you may want to take. Nothing over here, unless the goblins start being annoying. When I was playing, the night goblins didn't bother me at all. Obviously, if you want to just take them out, then do so. But know that you are fighting in the mountains. So fighting in the mountains will be very bad for Kislev. Another place to take will be Kraka Drak and Varl's Tower. Now, usually a Chaos army will come and take Varl's Tower, or a Chaos army will just be here. I suggest just trying to either go take it first or defeat the Chaos that's there. For me, it was Slanesh. Also, over here, you will have Chaos Undivided. Very important that you take them out. That you either take them out as fast as you can, or you build up good defenses, taking Vinskor and then going up to Morkstead and Kraka Onsmatak, kind of creating a barrier between you and Chaos Undivided, making sure that these cities are well defended with units. The only problem is across the sea is Chaos, and a place that you never want to take is Urslo. While you may think you want to take it, no, because Chaos will be right there. Khorne's usually down there by the time you can take it, and Khorne will fight, as well as the Chaos Dwarves. They will send army after army to you, and Urslo is just too far away to be able to successfully reinforce it, unless you're constantly sending units there. It'd be different with Prague, because Prague has both Dushika and Bolgasgrad. Obviously, I'm pronouncing a lot of stuff wrong, but that's fine. So, try to leave Urslo until later on. Obviously, you can also have, like, armies of Cav just in the... Well, you can have, like, just armies ready to fight at Prague, at the bridges, at certain places, because there's always bridges everywhere. So if you can't fight them on the open battlefield, hold a bridge. Very important to hold a bridge. So yes, that's the sort of stuff that you'll want to do. Another thing is when looking at your economy, you only make 188 a turn, and a lot of it is army upkeep, but you're going to want to keep your armies. You're not going to want to destroy any units. You will want to keep your armies and use them to their full advantage. So that even means taking out the Kremlin Guard and using them for taking them out of Kislev and then using them. I always suggest leaving maybe 1 or 2 spearmen and a corsair and a general in each city. That should be good enough defense for against a medium-sized force. You'll want to send a diplomat over to the Empire and make friends with them, because you don't want to have to fight the Empire while you're fighting Chaos. So I do suggest making alliances, trade rights, map information with the Empire. Trade rights will be very important because of your horrible economy. Something else that you want to do is you'll want to build quite a few merchants. Now with the merchants, places that you'll want to visit will be Warpstone right here. You'll want to get some Warpstone, and you'll also want to get go to these Brightstone mines. Both of them are very, very wealthy, usually about 100 to 200 gold or so. So yes, Kislev, if you're playing on hard, it can be a very difficult start, and even the middle can be difficult too. But as soon as you get a good, solid placement, you got good, solid cities, you have set it up for defense. Then you can start growing your economy a lot more. Once you start growing your economy, you can then start sending armies to kill Chaos Undivided. You can start sending armies to go into the Chaos Wastes and go take on Chaos with lance and bow. Yeah, and then once Chaos is dead, then you could probably go on and turn on the Empire, or go into the Badlands and take on the Chaos Dwarves. Go down, all the way to the World Edge Mountains. Then go down, take on the Ogres. Ogres, yeah.
You are but one of many to fall this day.
Oh. Thankfully, I'm not close to the Ogres, because that was actually kind of scary. So yeah, you're going to want to take care, get a quick setup, quickly take cities, be very defensive, defend your cities, send armies to defend your cities, constantly send units back to Kislev and Bolgorod, Zoyshenk, Dushiaka, Erengrad. Build military cities there so you can build Corsairs and Ungol and Spearmen, because those 3 will be your main units. They really will when you get, and you'll get Winged Lancers from Kislev. Thankfully, Winged Lancers can go really far, so you can basically go half of your half of where you need to go in just a few seconds. Well, in just 2 turns you can get somewhere. Well, 2 to 3 turns you can get somewhere. So yeah, you'll want to be very, very fast in developing your economy, developing military buildings as well, so you can successfully defend your wide open landscape. So let's get into... So I'll show you how to do the battles. Now, there are always 2 different ways of building this army. One, you can have a very defensive and cavalry corps, well, with a cavalry corps, such as this army, where they focus more on, they have the field fortifications for defense with a line of spearmen and halberdiers and corsairs firing in with a corps, well, with the only solid unit of Kremlin Guard. But then you have the winged lancers to go around and flank the enemy. You have the mounted militia to fire on any heavily armored units or minotaurs, as you'll mainly be facing, well, you'll face a lot of beastmen hordes. You'll have the Ungouls to take out the Ungors, kill them in the hundreds, and you'll have the Sarguard as your general. That's usually one. This is actually usually an early game army where you'll have a lot of armies like this where just you need to defend. You can't afford to lose a lot of dudes, but you need to take out the enemy. This is basically it's a very reliable army, right? It's very reliable. If you want the Old Faithful, this is the Old Faithful. Okay, so this is the sort of thing that you'll want to see with your army. See the wagons right up front, taking the charge of the enemy, and as they slip in, your Kislev spearmen and halberdiers will be there to take them out with their Kreml guard to back them up. The Cossairs to take them out at range with your Sar guard in the back, making sure that no one goes around. Over here, you'll want your Ungouls to be right up. Now, if you're attacking, you'll always want to send your Ungouls up because they'll just be able to pepper the enemy with arrows, making the enemy come to you. You'll also be sending your mounted militia up as well, right, with the Ungouls, making sure that they are focusing on the Beastigors or any heavily armored units such as Minotaurs. You'll also be wanting to send your winged lancers around. You'll want to send them far around and try to keep them out of combat. Obviously, if the enemy has lots of cav, you're going to want to send your Zar Guard also out. Or you'll want to keep them back until the cav has engaged your melee line. It's up to you. So let's continue. Now, these Ungouls, I want them to be focusing on the Gors. I don't want them focusing on the Beastigors and all that fun stuff. I want you two focusing on this Beastigor herd, taking out the big heavy units that will cause lots of problems to me. So you just gotta wait till these guys start engaging your front line. Your front line will break. Now, normally, like your early game, you will not have wagons. I'm not entirely sure what the thing is for them, what you have to build for them, but I do know that you won't have them right off the bat. What you will have is lots of spearmen, lots of halberdiers, well, or a good amount of them to hold a line for just long enough. The Cossairs, they will do their best in firing, taking out the enemy bowmen, or taking out any risk targets. Now, the enemy has sent their Minotaurs around. Why have these guys moved? Why did they actually move? Why did they actually move? What? It's so confusing right there. I don't know why they moved. That was actually really bad because that broke up our own situation here. It's not good. So the Zar Guard have taken on the Minotaurs, so you'll want to send your Kreml Guard to go help them out in that engagement. I don't know why those guys moved. That was really incredibly bad. Now these guys have gotten themselves in a pickle of sorts. Not a great pickle at all. Very hard, very difficult to find some good pickles out there. Your Zar Guard will not be able to do excellent against these large units. Yeah, and you'll want to take your Zar Guard out as fast as possible. Again, this is why I had the Zar Guard in the first place, to make sure the Minotaurs couldn't charge into the backs of my soft and squishy targets. So sometimes you'll have enemies charging you well, charging the winged lancers. If the winged lancers get behind, you'll easily be able to take out any smaller units in just a charge or two. Always try to not do prolonged combat unless they instantly rout. If they instantly rout, then that's a great thing. Now, you'll want to not have to fight the units right then and there. Instead, well, any units that are still out there, you won't want to send to go kill stuff, essentially, that's still out there. You'll want to send these guys out. Well, you'll want to send these guys around to... A few of these guys died. Oh, I wonder how. You want to send these guys around to go take out their weak tutors right there, which all died, well, which all routed instantly. And prepare for your winged lancers to charge right into the back of the enemy, which is the most important thing that you can do. By now, your melee line will be incredibly dead. Like, absolutely dead. Even Kreml Guard can't do excellent against Minotaurs, as everyone knows. And more Minotaurs are getting into the back, which is not a good thing. You know, I don't like that. So you got your... dang it. So you got your Kislevs in the back. You'll want to be very careful. Again, microing. Kislev is a micro-heavy faction. You need to be careful. Okay. Also, this is why you don't, with your wagons or even with your Corsairs, you do not want to use the spike stuff, because that's just gonna cause a whole lot of no-nos. You're gonna lose a lot of guys if you do that. Never a grand idea. Get out. Move back. You actually charge these Minotaurs. Again, you have to be incredibly careful with your army. I need you guys to go take out the Minotaurs. Winged Lancers are very, very fragile. Now, once your units here have run out of ammo, you're going to be wanting them to, well, charge the Gore Herd. They could charge Gore Herds and they'll be relatively fine for a while. They are very good units for a reason. They can get quite a good charge off. No, don't charge them. I don't want you to charge them, you idiots. Oh, well, they're broken anyways. I need you guys to charge these these Minotaurs. Actually, let these guys fire onto the Minotaurs. You guys take out the herds. Your Kislev, your Winged Lancers will be excellent in taking out huge chunks of enemies. Absolutely excellent. Usually with the Gore Herds, the biggest threat will always be these Minotaurs. Minotaurs are incredibly scary and incredibly annoying to deal with. They can absolutely destroy you. So you'll want to be careful with these guys. One of the duders got deaded. The wagons. Fortunately, though, the wagons still stay and they still do their job. I still don't know why it moved, though. Like, that was just really weird. Why it moved. I'm not entirely sure why. So once you wipe out their main force, all you really got left are a bunch of Minotaurs, as I said before, which I'm really good at saying stuff again. So you got your gun units firing on the Minotaurs. If you have Streltsy, you'll want your Streltsy firing in on the Minotaurs. And if you have mounted militia or Chekists, then you'll want them also doing the same thing. And that Minotaur is dead. Charges are always good. Getting some good back charges. Let's even get a charge in on the Minotaurs with my Ungals. So let's see how that goes. Oh, well, they're routing already. No, okay, so Ungals do not have a charge bonus. Well, they do have a charge bonus, but they don't have sticks. Spears. So yeah, that's basically the easiest way of taking down any enemy force. Basically any enemy force, just do that. Defensive, it's the old reliable. You'll lose a lot of infantrymen, but that's why you have town watch buildings in every single building you have, just so you can go retrain them, go get more. You'll never run out of soldiers to die for your cause, and that's why you also want to be very careful with your your cavalry, because they're a little more difficult to get more of, but they are possible to get. So that's basically how you use Old Reliable when it comes to battles, Kislev battle. So yeah. Now, say that your enemy army has a lot of heavier units. What you'll want is something like this, a small line of Kislev spearmen just to kind of hold for a little bit. You'll have your Kreml guard to try to fight off their elites. You'll have the Vasniks with their grenades. You'll have the Streltsy with the rifles, which also very good against armor. You'll have 3 or 2 to 4 winged lancers in your army. They will be there for when the enemy finally reach your infantry, because with this, if you're against very large groups of, well, against a heavily armored group, you want to just send out your mounted militia, have them fire down on the enemy as long as possible, even with your winged lancers, kind of harass their weaker units, and just try to keep your winged lancers out of prolonged combat, obviously, and have your infantry camped in a corner. Your Chekists and mounted militia will do a lot of damage out there, as long as they don't have swift cavalry or giants. You should be fine. Just keep these guys out of any range of like sorcerers and whatnot, and they're good against sorcerers. You have 2 to 4 units of mounted militia and Chekists firing on a sorcerer unit with 10 models. They're going to go down really, really fast. Then once the enemy, the now much more weakened enemy, has finally reached your infantry, you can then send your winged lancers charging the enemy, send your mounted militia and Chekists into the back of the enemy, send your Sons of Urson and Tsar Guard into the back of the enemy, and just continue it. Just continuously crush this horde of elite soldiers. This is obviously another way. It's less reliable, because if you lose too many, because if they have certain units that can absolutely tear through mounted militia and whatnot, then you're gonna have a bad time. But this is more of it's part assassinity. Just kill these certain units, then you'll be fine, and part grindy, because once the enemy hits you, you're gonna want to just continuously countercharge. Charge. What's that? No, it's not countercharge. What's the word? You know what? That's a good question. I don't know. So yeah, that's Kislev video. The Kislev, land of ice and vodka and fake Russians, and where you all live in Oblast. So, I hope you have enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Hello and welcome, I'm the E10 Man, and welcome to How to Kislev. Yes. Now, Kislev, at least in the 1.5 beta of Beginning of the End Times, Kislev has been changed quite a lot from, well, since Rage of the Dark Gods. It's much more difficult trying to hold your land, especially with obviously Kislev, especially with Chaos right up there ready to charge on down. Now, there's a lot of reading here, and I kind of want to read it, but I'm not. Essentially, they're the Empire's only hope. So say you're playing on hard difficulty, and we're going to go into the battle, and basically I'm just going to show you, well, give you tips on the campaign, give you tips in the battlefield. I'll see you in there.